All right, so diverse versus uniform. So we're going to figure out today how you end up looking like you look. So two essential questions we're going to do is what is the difference between a genotype and a phenotype? We're going to learn both those words and what they are. And then what are alleles and how are dominant and recessive traits written? Okay, so the first thing we're going to answer is essential question number 2, and we're going to do that right here. So alleles. What are alleles? Well, alleles come in pairs. So you have them in your body in pairs. And I'm going to zoom that in for y'all. All right. And where do you think you get your pairs from? You get one from who? Yep, one from mom and one from dad. And they show up in two different ways. So one way they can show up is as a dominant trait. So a dominant allele is shown as a capital letter. And I'm going to use A's for our letters today. Now, you don't have to do bubble letters. You can just write a capital A. I'm just doing bubble to show the major difference. So there's dominant, which is capital letters. And then there are recessive alleles, which are shown as lowercase letters. All right, so we said lowercase was what? Dominant or recessive? Recessive. So make sure we label that. And recessive alleles, you need 2 to see. We're going to go through that on the other side of these notes, but you need 2 recessive alleles in order to see that trait. So if you're looking at a certain eye color and it's the recessive allele, for example, say green happened to be the recessive allele, both mom and dad would have to give you a green eye trait for you to have green eyes. Or if blue was the dominant, it would cover it up. So we're going to learn that here. So the capital letters are what? Dominant. And dominant traits are always shown if you get the trait. So you only need one of them. So just mom or just dad has to give you a dominant trait, and you're going to have that. So say curly hair is a dominant trait. Mom gives you straight hair, dad gives you curly hair. Well, then you're going to have curly hair. So both of these together, both of these things are going to determine, so let's draw an arrow here. Oh, my fault. Sorry, you can't see that. So you got the arrow there. And they determine in organisms and I just put 3 dots because we're going to write it big below there. So they're going to determinate in organisms, and the word for that from essential question number 1 is phenotype. And if y'all run out of room, you can go to the back. Totally fine. And phenotype is just a fancy word for physical appearance. Like having blue eyes or having brown hair or whatever it may be that you can just look at someone and know they have. So I look at you, I can see you have brown hair, that's your phenotype. I can see it with my eyes. Now, we got to do our other side. So, y'all got that down? Good? All right, so I'm going to zoom out so you can see. That's the light. Too much. All right. So if I zoom out, I'm going to show you where you're going to write this. You should have something like that. If you don't, it's okay. We'll fit it in there. But we want to jump over to the other side here. So we're going to write, and I'm going to write this one in red. Up on this side is alleles come in different combinations. So alleles come in different combinations. And there's two major ways we're going to look at this. So you get different combinations. You either get the same, so two of the same alleles, or you get two different alleles. If you get two of the same, you will either have something, so if we're still using A's, you'll have two capital A's as an example. Or you'll get two lowercase a's. Both of those are the same letter together. So they're both capital letters or both lowercase letters. That's what I mean by the same. Because I know they're both A's, but it's capital capital or lowercase lowercase. And when you have two of the same, that is called homozygous. So two of the same alleles is homozygous. All right, and then on the other side of that, if you get two different, well, if I draw that, I'm going to have what? One capital and what? One lowercase, because they're different. So one capital, one lowercase, or one dominant, one recessive, and this is known as heterozygous. So if you have two different, meaning one capital, one lowercase, one dominant, one recessive, then you are heterozygous. And all of this stuff that you have here, these letter combinations, the letter combinations determine in organisms and that word is called, from your essential question, genotype. And genotype means allele, you can put in parentheses, letter combinations. So what if we have two plants that we're going to breed together? So again, I'm going to zoom out so you can see what our notes look like all together. What if I have two plants together and I want to know what the offspring is going to look like? So I took the pollen from one, pollen from the other, and I want to know what the chances of me getting a certain color flower petal is. Well, we'll use this information from each parent, and we will be able to create a Punnett Square. And a Punnett Square, simply put, is a chart that we use in science for heredity to show what the possible genotype and phenotypes of our offspring will be, or what our offspring is going to look like. What the chances are you're going to get red petals on that flower versus white petals, or that kind of thing. And to make it very simple, what you do is you have a line here in those four spots. And those are lines that need to have something written on them. So on the top, you write the mother's genotype. Go to the back if you run out of room. Or the next page. And we don't have to have the mothers there. That's not like a rule in science, but to make it easy, you always know how to do it. You just put the mother's genotype on top for us for test questions and things. And then on the side, we need to use the other parent, so we're going to put the father's genotype here. And what we're going to do is do an example using a Punnett Square together to show you what it's going to look like. This is only part one of Punnett Squares, so this is just like the basic intro. All right, so our example. Is we are going to cross a heterozygous red flower with another heterozygous red flower. And when we're doing this, there's two colors always involved. You're going to have two things involved. So we're going to use R's for it. So capital R equals red color, which is the dominant trait. So a capital R, because capital letters show dominant traits, and we're going to say in this situation of the flowers that red is the dominant trait. And a lowercase r is white color, which if it's lowercase, it's then what? Recessive. All right, so if they're heterozygous flowers, does that mean they have two of the same alleles or two different alleles? Two different, because heterozygous is right here, two different. So for the mother is heterozygous red. So what is her allele combination? What's her genotype? What letters would I write? So we're going to use R's for the colors right here, but yes, capital R, lowercase r. That is her genotype. And we wrote for the father that the father is heterozygous red, the same as the mother. So what is the father's genotype? Yep, capital R, lowercase r. Now, you're going to take those and write those on those lines. So I have two letters. I have two lines. So write the capital letter first. So capital R, lowercase r for the mother. And then on the side, capital R, lowercase r for the father. This is what we just figured out their genotypes were. Now, in order to fill out a Punnett Square, we do it just like a multiplication chart where you go down and across. So this one is up top. Where do you think this is going to go?
Top right.
It's going to go straight down into the boxes below it. So draw my arrow. Goes right here and right here. It falls straight down. So then this lowercase r, where does it go? Straight down, just like the other one. And we always want our lowercase letters to be second, so I'm going to write it on the right side. So it goes straight down in the boxes below it. Does that make sense, everybody? The top comes straight down. So then what does the side do? Yep, goes straight across. So I take this one, move it straight across, so I need to write another capital R here, and then it goes into the next box, and I write my capital R there. Same as this one. This one goes straight across. So I write my lowercase r here, and my lowercase r right here. All right, now we need to figure out two more things, and then we're done with this. So the first thing I need to figure out is what are the chances my kids look a certain type of way. So what was the two colors I told you they could end up being with petals? Right. So if they're capital letters, what color is that? And if they're lowercase, what color is that? White. Okay, so red. Put it right here. Red and white. Let me write that and put lines next to them. All right, so when we look at this box, it's the same as, say, this total box is $1. Each one of these is 25 cents or 25%. How many of these boxes have a capital R in them? One. Okay. Any more have capital R in them? What other one has capital R? This one and that one. And remember back to our notes right here, dominant trait, always shown if you get the trait. So how many of those boxes show red petals? One, two, three, or four? Three, because you have a capital R here, you have capital R's here, and you have a capital R here. So anywhere there's a capital R, it's a dominant trait. Means that 3 out of 4 of those boxes are red. So what percent is that out of 100? 75. 75% red. And how many of those boxes only have lowercase r's? Only lowercase r's. 1. There's no capital R in this box. So that one is homozygous recessive. So 1 out of 4 are white. What percent is that? 25%. So you have a 25% chance when you cross these two flowers that you're going to get white petals on your flower. You have a 75% chance that you're going to end up with red petals.